So firstly, thank you so much everyone for joining us here today. We would like to extend a very warm welcome to you, Jayant sir, and we're extremely delighted to have you here with us today. And thanks for taking our time, and we look forward to have a very wonderful session ahead. So to begin with, I feel you're an inspiration to many of us, and we are excited to hear about your journey in tech and a bit about your background, where it all started, how you basically got into competitive coding, and much more. And we rolled out a form over the last few days, and we have a whole bunch of questions from which have been asked by our audience, and we've accumulated them, and we'll take them up after we hear about your journey. In the meantime, if anyone has any questions from the audience, they can put it up in the chat box and we will take it up as a part of the live Q&A session. So yeah, over to you, sir, and we would love to hear about your journey.
Hello, everyone. I am audible.
Yes, sir.
Hi, thanks for having me here. So my name is Jayant, as you might have seen on the poster. So, I joined my college in 2014 as in Dhanbad. In the first year, I didn't know much about coding, but after about a year, we saw our placement heads talking about competitive coding and how important it is for placement. So we started a little bit on that. So initially it was mainly for placement, but after a while it became mostly addictive, I would say, towards the end of the second year. So initially, if you are an absolute beginner, I'll recommend you to pick up any language. First of all, like if you pick C++ or Java, anything like that, and then you practice some questions on that language, basically to have a good skill set on STLs and stuff like that. Like you basically know how to use the library and everything. And then you try some hands-on experience with some contests, for example, like long challenges. So as of now, I'm not able to do many long challenges due to my schedule, but during my college days, I used to participate a lot in like Hacker Earth long challenges, CodeChef long challenges. So I'll say that, I'm sorry.
Kritika, could you please mute yourself?
Okay.
Oh. So after second year, I liked it very much. Like it was no longer only for placement. So I started taking it very seriously. At the end of third year, we got our internships in Goldman Sachs. I was able to clear that round. And in that internship, I'll say I had a big break when I was able to win iPhone at the contest they hold every year for interns. So after a while, it got very interesting, and then I thought of going into some big competitions like ACM ICPC, CodeJam, Facebook Hacker Cup. So I'll say like in the beginning, it started with more of placements, and after that, it became very addictive. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I feel that was a great background that you covered. I feel I can start with a couple of questions and then we can take them up live also as they come. So the very first question that we got was, when do you think is the right time to begin CP, or is any time too late to begin CP? So you're on mute, I guess.
Is that good now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll say it depends on the level you want to achieve in CB. For example, if it's for placements, I'll say a semester or 2 semesters is enough. You basically do some Geeks for Geeks, some interview bit, some lead code, like sites like these. But if you want to go in some good competitions like Code Jam, ACM, ICBC, I'll say to start it at very beginning, like even in first year or second year at least. Because it helps a lot having more time at hand. I also felt like I could have started a year earlier, but like I guess here we are. But yeah, if you are a first year, I'll say that you should definitely start it out. At least try something, and if you find it interesting, you can pursue and have good opportunities and good prizes in it. So yeah.
Perfect. Also, could you please give some insights about the C2 contest that you were a part of, maybe CodeJam or ICPC?
Okay. So for ICPC, as many of you must know it, it's a team-based contest. Every year around, I'm not sure, but from every college, I guess 10 or 15 teams are there on an average, and two or three of them are selected for the regionals. There are around 6 or 7 regionals in India. And after that, they get selected for India finals and then for world finals. So it's a not very easy contest. Like you need at least 6 or 7 months of team preparation. Like first you do your individual preparation, then you build a strong team, and then you go out practicing with team, because giving a contest individually versus giving it in a team is a very different game altogether. You have to be very coordinated because there's only one computer. I think there's a comment here. Okay. So, uh, like you basically give some team contests, you have some good coordination and good knowledge. Like every one of you distribute something. Like someone is good in DP, someone is good in graphs, someone is good in maths. You combine all these skills together in those contests. But for contests like Facebook Hacker Cup and Code Jam, I'll say it's a little more difficult towards the end of the second round. So the structure there is, first there is a qualification round in which if you get, I guess, 30 points or something, you proceed to the next round. In round one, there are three subdivisions, A, B, C. Each division qualifies 1,500 individual people. So basically, there are 4,500 people qualifying for the second round. And in second round, out of these 4,500, thousands are selected for third round. And in the third round, like it's basically the like semi-finals round. It's like the top 25 get selected for the world finals. So it's pretty hard contest towards the end of the second round. It becomes very difficult to compete in it. But yeah, it's a good exercise to take part in these contests. And apart from this, I'll also point out that the contests which Google holds every year, especially for recruiting, is Kickstart. If you get some good rank in it, I'm not sure what's the eligible bar they have for it, but if you are good in it, have some like X rank in India, you'll get a call from Google. So so that's also an advantage. I also got a call due to the code jam thing. I was able to go to the semifinals round. So after that, I got a call for interviews. So yeah. And on regular basis, you can practice on, I'll say, Code Chef, Code Forces, Ad Coder. There are like plenty of sites there. You can give contests on everyone. Um, and yeah.
Sure. We'll probably take up the questions from the chat later on. We have some more in line from the registration form that we rolled out. So one of the common questions was, how do you keep yourself motivated for competitive coding?
Okay. That's a good question. I'll say that for me, competitive programming has been very close because I'm very passionate about data structures and algorithms. For me, like in one line, if you have to explain algorithm, is the difference between whether you can solve a problem or you cannot address it completely. So for example, you have, let's say you have been given a question like there are n numbers you have to, and you have queries like you have to sum L to R segments like these. So it can be very easily done if you keep an prefix array or something of that sort. But let's say now I'm saying that this array is dynamically changing. How do you cope up with that? So now you'll be thinking in terms of somewhat like segment trees and everything. Now, if there are some more type of changes in it, there may be a persistent segment tree or something like that. So the list goes on and on in it, and it's very exciting for me because I find it very useful in my day-to-day job because I like now thinking about how can I optimize this thing. If this is implemented in this way, how can we go about it? And for example, from n square, can we bring it down to maybe n to the power 3 by 2, something like this. So yeah, it's mostly I'm interested in it, and I try to spend some time on it on a regular basis, like maybe giving 1 or 2 contests a week, something like this, even now. So,
Sure. And we'd love to know what is next for you. Like, what are your plans for the near future?
okay, so it's not very well thought as of now, but I'm trying to be a good software engineer. Maybe like becoming what is expected out of me. I want to achieve that first, and then anything else.
That's a good answer. Um, and yeah, there's one question. I'm a beginner in coding. I know C++. How do I increase my level and what kind of questions should I practice? Is there any one platform which you suggest to start with?
Okay, so if you have started with C++, it's good. It's the most commonly used language in competitive because it's short, it's easy to write, and it runs fast on servers. That's one reason. So if you have already picked up a language, I'll advise you to maybe start on HackerRank, do some basic questions of C++, learn some STLs, how to use map, queues, iterator, stuff like these first. And then you directly jump onto contests because like for me at least, reading only theory is very boring. So you just start on the questions, and what you don't understand, you then figure it out using some documentation or some blogs, articles, etc. So uh, I'll say there is no one platform for it. You can try your hands on every platform, but the one I most like is the Codeforces one. But if you are an absolute beginner, I'll suggest you not to get started on that one first. You must start on long challenges because it's a 10-day contest on CodeChef and 7-day, I guess, on HackerEarth. So it gives you a lot of time thinking on a problem. So you have 10 questions, you have 10 days. So let's say in the beginning, you are able to do maybe 1 or 2 questions. Then you strive for the third and fourth one. And after a while, like after 2 3 months, you are able to do that third and fourth question, and then you gradually increase your level. And I'll also point out that it's not very easy to become somewhat decent in it. It takes a lot of time, and it's very frustrating to be honest. So don't give up hope if you are not doing good in it already. It will become better as you go.
Sure, that was a good advice. And yeah, what are the most important topics to focus on, and what are the resources that you followed to master the concepts?
Okay, so when you get to the crux of competitive programming, it's mostly maths. So if you have a good background in maths, there's a good chance you'll succeed at it very fast. So in the beginning, you should definitely try out. There's a challenge in HackerEarth called Euclid, something, some math-based programming contest. It's an ongoing challenge, something like that. It has some 200 type problems. So you can first try out those questions, some basic number theory questions. Uh, they are real mind bogglers, and you will get your like good hands dirty in those challenges. So definitely start with those things, and then you can gradually move up to like maybe learning dynamic programming, then strings and graphs, of course, and like geometry also. Okay, I don't like very much geometry, but yeah, geometry too if you are a fan of it. So yeah, but it's not like you have to do it like topic wise. You just pick up a question, whatever it is, you just try to solve it. So if you've seen some hard contests, the main thing that it boils down to is maths only. So the competitors are judged on the basis of their math skills. So I'll say number theory is the number one hardest and most important topic in competitive programming. If you can like ace that one, everything else is very easy. Like learning data structures is not a big deal. If I give you like, let's say heavy light decomposition, it will take maybe a day or two for you to like understand what it is. But once you understand it, it's very easy for you now. And similarly for like some other complex data structures like centroid decomposition and something like that, like those are not big deal. I'll say to first to build some good foundational skills of maths, graphs, DBs, and data structures can be taken care of in the contests.
All right. Then there's one question that says, how much should I focus on CP if I love development, but I want to grab an internship or placement at MNCs like Microsoft or Google?
Okay, I'll say you should do a basic level of comparative programming, like um, basically like a semester or two for that. If you are only aiming for internships, I'll say, because questions mostly I think they are like they are not exactly the same, but they are like they are derived from some lead code or something like that. So if you want to do just the internship, that would be fine. Plus, you can do some, like you are saying, some side projects like ML, WebD, Android kind of stuff. So that would be really helpful.
Okay, and we have this question from some of the final year students, which says, what do we do after getting placed? How to switch to Google while working in some company?
Uh, okay. So while I was in GS, or even now, I still do comparative programming. So I'm basically in touch with these stuff. So Google tend to ask very contest type of questions that you see in code courses. So Google's questionnaire is very well defined in those areas. So if you are basically in touch with these questions even after you get placed, I think there's a good chance that you will crack the interview. It's not a big deal in that.
All right, and do you have any tips for Google interviews?
Uh, So the questions will never be the same. That's for sure. They put very much effort in refreshing their questionnaire. Like I think someone was telling me that around 2 or 3 months they refresh their question bank. So it's hardly that you will get the same question ever. So it's good that you practice some basic skills. They are not very straightforward questions. That for sure. Like you practice some graph questions, some dynamic programming. These are the areas they basically focus on, and strings. And yeah, it's not very easy, so you must have some good those areas.
All right, do MCA students get opportunities to sit for off-campus placements for companies like Microsoft or Google?
I think yes, yeah. If they
And
are in this eligibility of the roles they have defined, then yes.
all right, and what about BR students?
I'm not very sure of that, but I'll have to check the careers page. I'm sure there are some opportunities regarding that. So
Sure. Um, okay, so there's one question. I'm an expert on code forces and have maximum 5 stars on CodeChef, but now I'm facing a plateau. I don't know how to increase my skills in order to remove this barrier. Could you please guide?
okay, so if you are an expert on code forces, I'm assuming that you are able to do div to C like every time and div to D sometimes. So basically, the mainstream approach is to pick up all the D questions of the previous contest and practice on them. And gradually, you will be able to do D in the contest. Plus, you can devise some other strategy. Like if you are able to always do ABC, then rather than starting with A, now you start with D. Even if you are not able to do it, it's not a problem. At least you have spent 2 hours thinking on a good problem, like a better problem at least. So that's a win in my like I think that's a win. So that would be helpful.
Sure. I guess now we can move to the questions in the chat box. So the first question is, I don't find CP quite interesting. What advice would you give me? So how do you think we can develop an interest in competitive?
So to be honest, I also didn't like it when I started it. It was mainly for the placements when our seniors told us, and we had this awesome club in our college for competitive. So we used to like get in that club, uh, hear what our seniors have to had to say, and everything. And over time, when I saw like what are the things that I'm gaining from it, then I started developing real interest in it. Then like placements become just a byproduct of it. You don't like if you are becoming very good in it, you don't then aim for placement. You aim for good competitions like these, and placements like these interviews become very easy for you as a. So if you are not liking it, I'll advise you to try it a bit more on it, but it's not a compulsion that you have to do it. Like if you have interest in other areas, then like feel free to do that as well.
Sure. Do you have any recommendations for books for data structures from scratch to advanced?
Okay, book for data structures. I mostly followed uh, Code Forces blogs to read anything that I didn't know. So I'll say you can follow that. Also, there is a book of Handbook of Programming. I don't know the exact name of it, but it's on Code Forces. Some person had posted it on like on his blog. I'll search that and I'll definitely give it to you. It's a very awesome book. Like it's a very short book, but it has great algorithms and yeah, it helps too much in the contest. I refer it quite sometimes. So handbook programming, something like this. It's titled.
Okay, sure. Um, how do you manage time between developing projects and competitive coding together?
Okay, so for competitive, I think it will not take much time. Like there are around 3 or 4 contests per week. If you see combined on all the platforms like AdCoder, CS Academy, I don't know if it's working or not still, but Code Forces, CodeChef like these, and they are mostly 2 hour contests. So if you can do those contests and plus some 1 hour of solving, yeah, so that's very important. Like when you participate in any contest, just don't leave it after that. Like let's say if like someone was asking that they are an expert, right? So when you participate in any contest, you just see, like let's say you are able to do ABC. Now you see codes of other people, the top rated people, which are on the like first 2 3 people of the rank list, and then you see how they got it implemented. You'll get some idea of how to code something faster and more efficiently, and then you try to basically do at least one problem more than what you couldn't solve during a contest. Like you do D, don't go very hard and try solving E, but like at least D. That's how you learn, like pushing a little forward with each contest, and then like a cumulative sum is like it's very good. So yeah, and like I'll say like per week, like if after for each contest, if you spend around 4 hours, 2 hours in a contest and 2 hours up solving, it's very good. So yeah.
All right. Is working from financial companies like Goldman Sachs or Morgan Stanley any different from working in a product-based company like Adobe or Google?
Uh, so the main difference I found was the scalability of products. Like in financial companies, if uh, like the products are not very much scalable, right? Like for example, if you take companies like Facebook or Google or Amazon or Adobe or Microsoft, like companies like these, they are building products for a lot of users, like millions or billions of users. So working in these companies give you a new perspective of how to solve very distributed kind of problems. In financial sectors, that's not a very big challenge. Like you're mainly trying to solve a problem that the business teams are having. So like the scope is limited, but you have a diverse scope in financial organizations. Like you learn about business stuff and everything. But if you want to pursue your career totally in tech field, I'll say to join product-based companies because then you see like a plethora of problems in it, how to solve very different, unique, scalable problems. So yeah, that's the main difference that I found.
All right. And when one switches from any financial company, do they face any disadvantage of not being from a product-based company?
No, not at all. So it's just those 4 or 5 rounds, right? So if you are able to demonstrate your skill set in those rounds, they don't care like where you are coming from.
Awesome. So how do you manage your time for everything like college, for skill development, for projects, and for people?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Sure. How did you manage your time for everything like college, for skill development, for projects, and for competitive?
Okay. So after second year, I got somewhat hooked in competitive programming. Like initially, I was doing too much of it. Uh, like I'll say for even days, like in these 10 days contest, right? Like I used to be very much active in these code chef long challenges. I used to solve even sitting in classes like backbenches. I used to solve those problems if I couldn't get it right, like fifth, sixth, or seventh problems. So after a while, I thought that I should pursue something else also with it. Like ML, I started building some. like ML skills, I started doing some Android development, WebD kind of stuff. But still, I thought that this is the most interesting field to me. So that was the thing. And for academia, I'll say it's not a big deal in colleges. Like you would definitely know that it's just a week or 2 4 days kind of preparation for examinations. So it's not much of a barrier. So you can very well manage everything in college.
Sure. Um, and we have a question which is, while you were working in GS, how much time did you devote to CP so as to maintain a good command over it and then switch a job? Also, is there any change in the kind of interview questions while you were switching, or is it purely data structure based?
I didn't get the second part after GS. What was that?
Okay, so is there any change in the kind of questions while for interviews while you were switching, or is it still purely data structure based?
Okay. So, like I was never out for like changing companies. Like while in GS also, I like this was my normal routine only to give contests at least one or two at that time also and at this time also. So after the code jam of 2019, I guess I got a call in October or November from the recruiter. So I thought like let's give it a chance and see how I do. So it like I got lucky in it and I was able to do it well. But like if you want to switch companies, I'll say that you have to devote some time. It's not that you'll prepare in the last week and you will crack it. It's not that case. You'll have to do it because with job you have additional things also, right? Like in the college you have full time to do it, but in college the time in jobs the time is very restricted. Like you get only like let's say you are coming back from work at 8 or 7, you can't do very well in it. So you do it in the weekends or something like this. So, and for the data structures, I think the level is almost the same. If that was a question, if I got it right, like the level was almost the same. What they ask in like freshers compared to the like if you switch from any company.
Sure. Then the next question is, how was your experience working for GS as compared to Google? I guess you've covered bits of it, but yeah, if you want to elaborate more on that, then sure.
How was my experience leaving GS? Is it?
No, like for working in GS versus working at Google.
Okay, so uh, I didn't get a full picture working in Google as of now. Like it's only been 3.5 or 4 months. But my time at GS was very good. We built a full application in about a year. So it was a great learning there. So I'm hoping the same in Google too. So let's see. Plus the joining is virtual, so there is some restriction on the interaction you can have with teammates also, right? So that's the one thing that's the key element that is missing, but we'll have to live with it.
Yeah. So do you recommend any course for DSA?
I think your voice is breaking. Is it only for me or someone else is also?
I'm not sure. Am I audible to all of you clearly?
Jacqueline, yes, your voice has been cracking up a bit. Maybe try adjusting your microphone.
Sure. Yeah, is it better now?
Yes.
Yes, much better.
Okay. So, yeah, do you recommend?
Uh, I'm sorry, I didn't get it again.
I'm sorry. Do you recommend any course for DSA?
Any book for DSA, is it?
Any course for DSA?
Any course for DSA? Okay. Mm, uh, I didn't do any course, so I can't recommend one. Like I think like self-learning is very good. Plus, what you can do is if it's not already present in your college, you can build some competitive programming club in it. That's where I got it started myself. Like we had this awesome club called Code ISM, and our seniors were very good, and they used to teach us like every weekend for 2 or 3 hours. And when someone is teaching to you like face to face, it's a very good experience rather than reading the documentation or articles. So you go in these clubs, you learn something, they give you questions, and then you solve them in the week, and then you discuss it with them the next week, the next weekend basically. So I'll definitely recommend you to, like, if you don't have it already, like make some club like this, and then you like pass on the ownership, right? Like after this, you'll see that after a while, every batch is improving its level. Like our batch was surpassed by our next batch, and so on, which is a good thing for college. So I think like course-wise, I cannot recommend anything. Like I don't know much about that, but for me, mostly I've been learning from these clubs. So I'll definitely recommend you to do something about it.
All right. How much time should a beginner spend on coding per day?
Per day. Uh, I'll say like as much as you want. For example, in the long challenges I'm talking about, I used to spend sometimes like hours or even days on one problem. So it's purely on the interest. But these contests try to like push you till the boundary. You read too much documentation, too much articles, too much data structures in it, and you gain a lot from these contests. So I'll say uh, when you are in a contest, you definitely put your whole time in it, whether it's a 2 hour contest or a 10-day contest. But if you're practicing, I'll say if you are not able to get it for 30 minutes or 1 hour, then you should definitely. And if you are not getting any leads, then this means that there's an algorithm or data structure or any logic that you don't already know. So it's better to like not waste more time on it, and then I'll not say waste, like not spend more time on it and then like jump to the tutorial straight away. But in contest, I'll say like put every like single minute you have in it.
Sure. So could you try muting yourself and speaking the question? Perhaps there's some echo from your end.
Okay.
All right. So the next question, okay, is my voice? So could you mute yourself? Okay. So is my voice better now?
Yes.
Sure. Okay. So the next question says, from which contest should we start as a beginner in DSA?
From which contest is it? Uh, I'll say not with the short contest. Definitely not with the short contest, because uh, you start with that after a while when you have got a little bit more experienced in it. In the beginning, you just start with long challenges so that you can spend more and more time in it. But after a while, you should definitely try to get your hands in the short contest. Basically, that's where the major improvements happen, and those are the contests which build you for interviews too. Like you have 1 hour or you have a very strict timeline, you have to solve a particular question in it. So that's the real preparation, I'll say. So first start with the long challenges and then go for these short ones.
All right. Um, yeah, could you please move it? Thank you. Yeah, after getting placed in a great company, what should be our focus now in the fourth year? So do you have any tips for the final year people who are already placed?
So I'll say like if you are placed, you can read some good books about, like, let's say distributed computing or cryptography, something that interests you and is of the like use in the industry. So I'll say definitely start off with some distributed computing because it's a very interesting domain. I just started on it. So, and then you'll learn the real life applications of algorithm and how important is it to use a good algorithm in any question that you face. Like, for example, if you like read how Facebook was built. So let's say today I'm giving you, like, let's say you have about 10 users and you have to build a Facebook like system for it. So you'll be very easily able to do it on, because you have just 10 users, you can put that all data in one database and you can live happily with it. But let's say now I'm saying you that the users are now 10 million. So you can't put that data in one table now. You have to distribute it. And there's where distributed computing and distributed data structures kind of stuff comes in picture. And it's very interesting. So I'll say like explore computer science as a domain, like learn about networks, securities, cryptography, everything, and then pick on what interests you the most. So like if you are in final year, you got placed, congratulations. You have too much time now, and plus you are placed, so you can try out these things. Plus, if you are interested in competitive programming, you can give ICPC for the last time as well. You can only do that in colleges, so you have one last chance. So yeah.
All right, thank you. That's a great suggestion. Uh, could you please mute yourself? Sorry. The next question, for the people who have their basics clear, how to start with competitive programming? Like, do we start with CodeChef, CodeForces, or any other platform that you suggest?
Okay, so these all sites are equally good. Code Forces, I find the quality is slightly better than CodeChef. But if you are getting very good at it, I'll recommend you to start with AdCoder. It's a relatively new site, not very new. It's about 2 or 3 years old, but the level of questions in that is really great. If you are aiming for some good competitions like these Code Jam and all, you should definitely try out those contests. Yeah.
All right. Um, I'm, I'm a second year student and it takes me about 4 hours to do 6 problems. I started a month ago and I feel demotivated already. What do you suggest for me to do?
I'm able to do six problems, is it?
Right.
Six problems of like which challenge? Like in general or
That's what the comment mentioned. Ananya, you could probably specify the level of the questions too. Like
okay, I guess lead code, is it?
Yes, it's lead code, sir.
Okay.
easy to medium level.
Okay, 4 hours for six problems. That's good. Like, don't worry about it. It's a slow process. I'm seeing that already. It's frustrating, slow process, but at the end, the rewards are very enjoyable, I'll say. So, like, keep grinding on it. Uh, don't take too much stress on it. Like, do it for fun. You can't be very good in anything that you are being pushed on, right? So, let it come naturally to you. If it starts, then like I'll say not to do it anymore and might like switch some other field like ML or something like that. So don't take too much stress in it if you're not doing good in it already.
Okay. Can you give an example of how doing competitive coding has helped you in your day-to-day work or any particular project at Google?
Uh, okay, so not at Google as of now, but in GSP, as I told you, I was making a new application for our business users. So there was a lot of indulgence of algorithms, like what should we use, what should be the data structure that we should use. Do we use a list in it, or do we use a concurrent hash map, stuff like these. Plus, when you are building a new platform, you have to choose, the first thing that you choose is what are the underlying storage systems in it. And if you do a bit of research on storage systems like MongoDB or uh, like Hive or anything like this, or MySQL, something like this. So now when you have to compare these storage engines, you basically see how are they being implemented. What's the read to write ratio performance in it and everything like that. So when you try to make these kind of decisions, then you see the importance of algorithms and data structures in it. That's why like I was saying like it like the system becomes very transparent now. Like you can see why this algorithm is doing very well versus this thing. And the second advantage, I'll say that you are able to read the code very fast, I'll say, as compared to other people, because you have you have spent a lot of time with code, so you are able to dive through multiple projects and something like this. So even in Google, when I came, the project I was put on is very huge. It has like I'm not sure about 500 something files in it, but like when you have to spot something and you go in branching kind of DFS, you go from this file to this file to this function. That becomes kind of like readable for me at least now. That has been one advantage too.
All right. Um, yeah, could you please? Thank you. I've just begun solving basic level questions on LeetCode, but it takes me 3 to 4 hours to write a single code. How much time do you suggest devoting to a single question? And what approach do you follow while solving a question? Probably you could guide us with some example that would help. Like, how do you optimize from a very basic approach to the.
Okay, so whenever I read any problem, the first thing I see is the constraints in it. That's the most important thing I'll say. Like the example I gave, right? For Facebook, if you have 10 users versus you have 10 million users. So if you have a O of n algorithm that is working for 10 people, it will not work for a billion or 10 million users now. So you now need an algorithm that maybe does it in n power 1 by 2 or log n something like this. So the first thing you need to see is what's the constraint, and first you should know how to calculate time complexity very efficiently of every algorithm. So, like let's say you know that there are about 10 power 8 calculations per second. Normally on platforms like CodeChef or Codeforces, that also varies. So it's normally 10 power 8 calculations. So if let's say n is 10 power 6, then you can very well guess that the algorithm has to be O of n log n, or n root n, like n power 3 by 2 might or might not work, but below than that it'll work. So first you like absolutely first you do first the brute force. You check out your approach if it's fine, if giving the right answer. Then you go about optimizing the time in it. So I'll definitely say that don't spend too much time while practicing at least. Like let's say if you are already 1 hour in the question, if you are not finding any leads, I'll say definitely go to the tutorial and read a little about it and then try solving it. If not, like iterate it over back and forth. But don't just give up. Like let's say you read a problem for 5 minutes, you don't know what to do, and you start jump to the solution. That's not a very good approach. So at least spend like 30 minutes on it, but not too much time also.
All right. Then there's one question. It says where to start learning web development and machine learning, like Udemy or Coursera. Are these courses reliable?
Uh, For ML, I'll say the course by Andrew Ng that you might have heard is very good. I only did that, so like my knowledge is very limited in that area. But I'll say that course is very good. It's a very comprehensive course with all the maths kind of stuff behind the algorithms. So if you are an absolute beginner, I'll say you can check out that course. And for the WebD, I learned it from a place called Free Code Camp, and there's one more place also, some academy something. So these two places are very good for WebD. You try building out something, like you read from that, you try to build some of your own websites, and then you get a practical hands-on experience with that. So like definitely, yeah, Code Academy, right? Yeah, thanks. So Code Academy, Free Code Camp, these are very great sites. They give you step-by-step iteration of all these things. So it's quite interesting.
All right. Could you please mute? Thank you. If you've done a little bit of Android in second year, and after getting an internship, what should one learn in third year? Should it be machine learning, Android again, or web development?
So I'll definitely say that try out everything. Like basically, you are a software engineer, right? You should know computer science holistic. You should know broadly everything, but you should be very good in at least one thing. So that's what that's the approach that I tend to have. Like you should learn everything. Well, you have to like ML. You should know a little bit. You should know a little bit of Android, a little bit of WebD, but you should be very good in at least one of the stuff. So like it purely depends on your interest. Like everything has scope. WebD has scope. ML has scope. It's not the case that ML has more scope than anything else. So if you are good at anything, everything has scope. So just pursue your interests as well. There's not one thing that fits everyone. So
Sure. Um, uh, Thank you. Is CP important for Google Step internship as well?
I'm not aware of step internship. So I'm not the right person to ask that.
So probably I can take this up. So Yeah, so I feel that CP is more about building a mindset about how you approach problems in general. So of course, there's no harm in trying CP out. But if you feel that you have some time constraint or some issues with that, then I feel the best thing to focus on would be DSA, because that's what's mostly focused on for specifically Google Step interviews. But yeah, exploring CP would probably give you a nice way on how you can, approach problems, how you can work on optimizing the solutions and get to the best solution in the most suitable time. So yeah, if you have time, then definitely exploring CP can be a good option. But if you have less time at your hand right now, then I would suggest going on with the rigorous practice of data structures and algorithms, because that is the main focus for STEP internship as well. All right, the next question. Is competitive coding useful for someone who belongs to core engineering branches? And do we have any chance of getting into these product-based companies you mentioned despite our branch?
Yes. So any company, I don't think they keep any bar on branches at least. Like I can say for Google at least, I don't know much about other companies, but I've seen in my team also there are people from mechanical engineering, civil engineering. Yeah, some of my friends from other branches are in Google, not from CSC. So branch is not a main factor here. Like if you are good in like these coding skills, then they don't care about branch. So like in these days, you might have heard that Google is not caring about college even now. So branch is a separate thing altogether. So you don't need to worry about branches at least for these companies, I'll say.
Sure. We have another question that we'd like to take up. If a working professional wants to start with competitive coding, how should they approach their preparation? Probably you could throw light on two separate scenarios. One being that they're a beginner in DSA altogether, they want to like start afresh, and the second being that they have a good grasp of DSA.
Okay, so with a working professional, I'll say that you have very limited time at hand. So I'll recommend you doing some lead code or interview bit type of questions that will give you a good like foundational skills for the preparation of these interviews. I'll say that because you are preparing for interviews, right? When you want to switch jobs. So I'll definitely recommend you to do interview bit, lead code, and yeah, like basically these two sites. So like let's say about 6 or 10 problems per week, like Saturday, Sunday combined, you can do these things. And after, if you are beginner, I'll say about uh, 4 or 5 months, you'll be in a very good shape to like ace these interviews. And if you are already good at it, then you can like just enhance your skills further, give some good contests, and give lead code or interview bit also side by side.
Sure. Uh, okay, there's another question in the chat. How is learning Flutter for a second year student?
I'm sorry, I don't know that. I'll have to read about it and get back. If anyone else knows, please.
Yeah, you can write in the chat box if you know how to answer this question. Even I'm not much confident about Flutter at this point. Okay, so another question we have is, have you experienced failures while sitting for intern or placement season, and like how did you deal with it?
Okay. So, uh, yeah, so basically, when our internship started, I guess I was not able to clear even the first round of at least 6 or 7 companies, I'll say, what I can think of. Yeah, not even the first round. So I was very much devastated at that time. But like uh, after like some luck, I was able to do good in Goldman Sachs contest, like the interview contest. And like the main thing is you don't have to be very much attached to these things, right? Like yes, it's placement. You have to be serious about it. That's good, but you don't have to go much too deep into it. Like if you keep on doing the good work, good things will follow. So at that time, I was, I think, at very low point in my life as well, because every day my parents were calling and they were saying like, "कोई बात नहीं हो जाएगा, अगली बार हो जाएगा," ऐसा कुछ. But it was very devastating for me because I had been doing coding for 2 years now, and I was not able to crack even the first rounds of these contests. So I'll say that be patient, don't take it very seriously. If not this, something better will come along. So for me, it did. For you, of course, it will be the same case. So like the main thing is to be patient and keep on working hard. That's the main baseline answer.
All right, and if you don't mind sharing, how was your roadmap like from the point where you were facing so many rejections to the point that you got that iPhone and that Goldman Sachs contest? How was the journey like?
Okay, so I was not sure what was happening in those contests, like for Microsoft, for I think Adobe, Arista, Walmart, and some two, three more names I'm not remembering at this point. I used to like go blank in these contests. I didn't remember anything what I had practiced in like these couple of months of coding anything else. So uh, after getting Goldman Sachs, I was kind of relieved that at least चलो एक internship तो है. At least I have one in hand. So after that, um, we had this like we have this 2 months internship in Goldman Sachs. If you have friends there, you'll or if you yourself have experienced that, they hold a contest this called Code Break every year for interns. So uh, it's kind of a difficult contest, I'll say, and the prizes are very huge. So at that day also, I was like after this internship period, I was freed up of all these things. So I went with very open mind in that. I was not expecting anything. I was just hoping to give my best, whatever I had, whatever I had learned in the past years. So I think I got it right. So it was a good day. So yeah, like not taking too much pressure is good. So that was the main takeaway I think I had in those third year internships times.
Sure, I guess that's a good advice. Um, the next question: how did your approach towards competitive change before and after getting placement?
Okay, yeah. So this is a good question because even after second year, I was doing out of like interest, but still there was like placement thing back in the back of the mind, right? But when I got placed, it was like full fledged. I went for like I only thought of giving very good contests like ACMIC, BC, and CodeJam. My main focus shifted to those areas because placement was already taken care of. So I was very free in those areas. I was like free to explore more data structures, more algorithms. I had more time at hand to explore that. So my focus completely changed to solving these type of contests. So yeah.
All right, sure. I guess we can take a final question. Um, yeah, from the chat, which says, "What are some good CP competitions for first-year students, and which of Google's competitions meet this criteria?"
Which of Google? Let me read that. Okay. For the first year, I'll say there are pretty good contests on Hacker Earth. They hold, I guess, 3 or 4 contests every week. You can read about them, give those challenges. And plus, if you are focusing more on product-based companies, Google especially, you can try on Kickstart contests. They recently had this Kickstart round E. They are soon going to have F round, I guess, in October first week. I think. So these are very good opportunities for getting a direct call, which is not very easy for like companies like Google. Like you, like you have to get a referral or you do good in these contests, and you reach at least the interview round where you have the chance to showcase your skills. So I'll say definitely go for contests like Kickstart, but like Kickstart, Code Forces, Code Chef, all the contests have the same format and same type of questions. So it's like very transferable type of skill.
Awesome. I guess we're all covered up for today's session. Um, yeah. So, all right. So thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope that the session was really fruitful for the audience, and they have something good to take back from the session. And yeah, again, thank you for your time, and yeah, we loved the session, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Okay, all the best. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.